Today we are back working on the Corvair and we're fixing one of the long-standing problems that it's had ever since we got it. When we first got the Corvair engine running, the fan blower bearing was screaming like crazy. You can hear it in many of the other videos that we've put out, and I'm finally just ready to go ahead and knock it out. Now, I was planning on doing this with the engine in the car, but since we had to pull it out because of the clutch disc, seems like a good time to go ahead and do it. So let's go ahead and start taking the engine apart, expose the top of the engine, and then we'll get the fan bearing replaced. If you're not already subscribed to our channel, take 2 seconds and click that subscribe button and hit the bell to be notified when new videos come out. It's an absolutely free way to let us know that you really appreciate this type of video, and it helps support our channel. So let's take everything off the top of the engine, expose the fan bearing and the housing that it sits in, and get this thing replaced. To take the top cover off the engine, which means that the carburetor, the alternator, the wiring, all of this has to come off, and then there's probably a dozen little 3/8 bolts that will need to be removed in order to pull this whole top housing off so that we can get access to the fan bearing itself. With the top cover off the engine, you can see here's the fan shroud housing. And I don't know if you're going to be able to hear this or not, but I'll try and spin it. This bearing right here, the fan bearing, is what's making all kinds of racket. I hope you can hear that kind of grinding noise when I spin it. So next we've got to pop the 4 bolts off the top. That'll take the pulley off, and then the fan itself. And then we ultimately are going to replace this entire housing that has the top of the engine and the fan bearing with one that I picked up from Mike's Corvair parts, and I'll leave a link in the description below. This has a brand new bearing already installed, so it'll make it super easy. We'll just pop the old cover off, put on some new gaskets, put the new cover in place, and then hopefully that'll eliminate one of the major noises that we've had in the car since we first got it running. So now that I've got the top off the engine, let's get prepped to put the new bearing housing back in place. On the workbench, I've got the new one here from Mike's Corvair with the brand new bearing, and then this is the original like vapor separator plate. You'll notice that it has like louvers going to one side. Now, it is not possible to put this thing in backwards, because if you did put it in backwards, then, let me see, as the crankshaft spins, it would push oil right into this. But as it turns out, the way that it's designed, the crank is going this way, so it's pushing against the closed side of the louvers. Let me get everything cleaned up, get all the oil off here, and we'll get this thing back together. Now, if you try and put this this windage tray on backwards, let me flip this around because this is the right way. Now, if you try and put this windage tray on backwards, what you'll see is that the bolt holes don't line up here, so you really can't put it in backwards. But that's the reason why the bolt holes are different, so you don't start shoving oil into your engine, or out the engine it should be. Now that we've got the new blower bearing housing with new gaskets on it, let's put it back on the engine. Well, that wasn't planned. All right, now with all the bolts run down, let me just go ahead and torque these down. I need to look up the spec on it. It's not a lot from what I remember. It's like, I don't know, 10 foot-pounds of torque. But we'll get these torqued down, and then this will hopefully be wrapped up. All right, now I got the bearing installed. Let's listen to the sound of silence. That is so much better than the old one. Well, now that the new blower bearing is installed, I'm sad because I can't test it out yet, because obviously the engine's not in the car. We're gonna have to wait until we get the clutch in and get the drivetrain back in the car to test it out. But this is a major improvement on the car. Now, obviously this can be done with the engine in the car. That was my original plan, but having it out makes it so much easier. This is something that for, I think it was about 80 bucks, is going to make a huge difference in just the drivability of the car. It didn't make a lot of noise all the time, but when it did, it was a pretty loud screeching, and I kept having to spray the bearing with like PB Blaster or WD-40, something like that, to lubricate it. This is a permanent fix for the problem. If you're looking for a blower bearing for your car, I have no affiliation, not sponsored, but I would definitely check out Mike's Corvair parts. Like I said, I'll leave a link in the description below. They didn't sponsor this video. I paid full price for the bearing, but I'm just very happy with getting this installed, and hopefully this will check off a major item on the to-do list on the car. Thank you so much for watching. Again, if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button and click on the bell to be notified when new videos come out. In the next couple of videos, I'm hoping to get the drivetrain back in the car, and then we can crank this thing up and take a listen to the nice sound of silence. Thanks for watching. God bless. We'll see you next time.